with that, any questions so far? I hope I'm not talking too fast. No one? Not yet? All right, what I kind of talk a little bit about right now, and I don't know where we're at. 5 minutes, good. LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. I just want to go through a couple of them, answer any questions people might have. And kind of, this isn't something I'm going to sit here and look too tactically at, but if you have questions about LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter, how does it apply to us? Is it something we need to consider? Raise your hands during these next slides because, again, I'll talk as long as I can talk. But I really like you guys to get your questions and things answered. Yeah? Sure. And I don't think you're definitely not the only one that feels that way. When somebody asks how much time does it really take to invest in social media to have a return, 1 to 3 hours a day. You know, if you're really trying to make this work in a way that's effective in developing that strategy and making sure you're socially engaged, 1 to 3 hours a day, easily. I'm on Facebook 5 to 7 times easily a day. You know, what am I doing? I'm just reading content. Anything engage me, catch me? How am I going to talk to them about it potentially? LinkedIn is always a great place to start. It kind of gets your feet wet. You know, it's a professional network. People are on there to do business. That is the primary purpose and intent of LinkedIn. Every Fortune 500 is represented on LinkedIn. I think there's, 58 countries that are involved in LinkedIn. It's the largest professional network. A lot of people get started with LinkedIn by, people keep inviting me to connect with them. Or I'm going to connect with some of the people I know. And that's it. But how do you take that connection to the next level? Well, are you recommending people based upon the experiences you've had? I had a great experience with this patient. They were great. It was very interesting. We learned a lot. Blah, 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 blah. If I'm a doctor and a patient recommends me off of an experience, people can see that. If I'm selling a service, I would maybe recommend them as a fantastic client because then I can, hopefully get some, recommendations back. Recommendation is a testimonial on LinkedIn. I use LinkedIn for CRM. When I'm on the phone or prospecting a business or a company or an individual, the first thing that I do is go to LinkedIn, add them as a connection, and then learn a little bit about their profile. Are they into blues music? I have a client in Maryland that I've never met. So, we've been working together for a while. I linked him, connected with him, and one day spent the time to read his profile. He's a blues musician that travels across the country. Well, the next day we had a 45-minute conversation about it, and now we're doing a lot more business than we were before. And it's just building that relationship, knowing that we're engaged socially, not just in person. Yeah. Where do you get started? I wish I could. Sure. Well, I think those are both great questions, but no, we don't have time. Here's the thing about LinkedIn and Facebook. When you go to their pages, facebook.com or linkedin.com, the first thing it's asking you is for their first name, last name, and email address. And then after you submit that, it asks you to build your profile. I cannot emphasize enough just taking those two first steps. Because once that happens, LinkedIn and Facebook's going to do the rest for you. It'll start recommending people for you to engage with based upon your profile. I went to X school, Y college. I worked for A, B, and C. Yep. Well, you as an individual would join LinkedIn. Your church can create a different type of presence, but what you're looking to do is engage individuals within your church to get more involved through social media. So what you're trying to do is build a profile that represents that. What will happen and what you'll notice, and quite frankly, it's scary because they're collecting all this data about you. And they're taking that data and connecting the dots for you. They're going to recommend people that you worked with at other companies. that you work with at your current company, the people you worked with. Then as you start connecting, it sees all of those relationships you have and sees are there overlaps of interests to start recommending those people to you. So they do a really nice job at kind of bridging that gap between where do I get started, I'm not comfortable with getting on there yet because I don't know enough, versus just get started. Create a profile. It takes 15 minutes. It's very user intuitive. They built it that way so that as you get more involved, as you start asking more questions, they're not just questions about how do I get there. Now, how do I take what I've learned and the experience that I've had to the next level? And Facebook is the exact same way. Yeah?
When I get an invitation from somebody who looks in and I have to know who they are, should I just accept it?
That's up to you. Now, here's the nice part about that.
Why are they asking me that?
Have you looked at their profile? Did you see if there's any overlap between connections that you might have that they have? Or what prior business engagements they possibly had that might have been overlap? It wouldn't. When you look, it's a lot of fun. You know, when you get an email that says, I've been invited to connect with somebody.
Did you disconnect?
Yeah. Yep. But the important part about that is, and that's a great point, because you want to take that connection, you want to take that relationship somebody's trying to make with you and see how you can connect the dots. Is it somebody that I might be interested in selling to? And they've heard about me but want to learn more about me before they actually reach out. Well, if I can see a similar connection, which is what LinkedIn provides, who else is this person connected to that I might know? Then I can reach out to that person and say, hey, I'm very interested in meeting this person. Would you be able to help me? Yeah. So talk a little bit farther. I'm not connected.
I'm looking for real estate. Do I go? I'll be the wouldn't I go to Google or would I go to LinkedIn? What's the study? I mean, what's the efficiency of, say, ROI on the hour, 2 hours, 10 minutes of what businesses would actually buy?
I think it depends on, qualified visit, what you're trying to find. You go to LinkedIn and you search for real estate broker. The way it's going to pull up information is based upon relationships that you've made connections with. So if I search real estate broker and I may not be connected to one, but 10 of my other connections are,